Let's talk about the importance of building a tribe. This is such a key thing for people, especially when you're doing something new or different or maybe kind of scary. Having a supportive community that has your back can absolutely be the difference maker for you. It's also a key element of living a healthy life, although it's often not given the importance it deserves. When people think about being healthy, they often think of improving their nutrition or exercising more. Those kinds of things get a lot of airtime in the wellness space. But what is talked about less often, but I would argue is just as important, is the connections that you have and the relationships that you have and the people that you surround yourself with. After all, we humans are social creatures. We've always depended on our social structures for survival, and we still need them today. So, my guest today, Sara Dunbar, is actually one of the members of my team inside the Wellness Coach Academy. So, she started off with me as a client and a student, and then because she's just so awesome, I brought her on board. And now she works with the students inside the Wellness Coach Academy to support and mentor them as they go through the program, and especially to help them build their own coaching skills, which is something that you'll hear Sara and I talk about quite a bit during this conversation. But a key thing for Sara, one of her core values, is this idea of connecting with other people and building a tribe of supportive people as you're going through this journey of life. And this is another thing that you'll hear us talk about during this conversation, not only about the importance of having a community, but also how to find your community if this is something that you feel is lacking in your life. So without further ado, let's dive in. Welcome to the show. I am so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Kim. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I mean, we've known each other for a few years now, right? Like first when you were a client of mine and a student in the Wellness Coach Academy. And then after that, of course, I brought you onto my team and now you're working inside WCA supporting the students there, which is so awesome, like coaching and mentoring them. So we've had quite a journey together. But I am so excited that we are finally, that I finally have been able to bring you on the show here so that we can take our conversations to a wider audience, because we talk all the time and we talk about some really good stuff, right? But never in front of, listeners or an audience or viewers or whatever. So I'm thrilled to be finally doing this with you.
Yeah, it's so crazy to think of that we have been friends and known each other for the last couple of years. And yes, why haven't we done this before? This is awesome. I'm so glad that we're taking the time to do this. So
yes, agreed. Totally. Yes. And so we've got some amazing stuff. I mean, I want to jump straight into the things that we're going to talk about on this episode because there's some juicy things in here and I want to make sure that we have time to get to as much as possible. One thing that we were, wanting to talk about was coaching skills, right? Like this is a really central part of what we teach the students inside the Wellness Coach Academy. And honestly, it's one of the things, in my opinion, that is really neglected in, many of the health and wellness coach training programs out there is like the emphasis on the actual skill of coaching your clients, right? Like I personally have completely lost track of the number of conversations that I've had with people who have told me that they did their training at another program and became a certified health coach and but they came out of it without the first clue of how to actually coach people, like how to actually work with people. Like they've got a bunch of health and nutrition knowledge, which is great, but they just don't know what they're supposed to be doing with that stuff, right? Rather than just kind of like telling people about the things that they know and teaching people, it's because you and I know that is really like there's so much more to it than that. And that's not really coaching when you're just like telling people what you think that they should do. And it's just not a very effective way of helping people to make real change in their lives. But what are your thoughts on all of that?
Yes, I totally agree. It's so incredible to me to see so many coaches coming out of programs not having the coaching skills, and they have a bunch of knowledge. They have a lot of great practical tools. They have a wonderful program and how-to steps. But I know, that if how-tos were enough, we'd all be rich, skinny, happy, healthy. But true transformation truly comes from digging in and helping a client walk through that process of self-discovery and asking them really powerful questions and helping them to get to that point of transformation. But sometimes we don't know how to do that. How do we actually help our clients achieve that transformation with, not going through the steps 1, 2, and 3? And so there is skills, there's technique, there's ways that we can show up powerfully as a coach to really help our clients achieve that life transformation, those goals, those things that they truly desire, when we can kind of put those things, those coaching skills in our tool belt.
Yes, 100%. And I love your use of the word transformation there, because that's really what we're talking about, right? Like we are talking about helping people make profound changes in their lives, whatever their goals are, whatever it is that they want to achieve, things that they have not been able to achieve just on their own. Like that is the whole entire, that's the role of coaching, right? And it does take skill to actually achieve that, because it's not just a straightforward, simple thing. It's quite a deep thing. But so let's talk about coaching skills. Like, of course, this is something that we teach inside the Wellness Coach Academy. And so it would be impossible to capture like that whole training in a single episode here, but I want to try and give our audience as many tools as we can. So what would you say are some of the most foundational skills that a coach can learn? Like what's really important, or some really basic building blocks of helping people with that transformation?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things that we can do for our clients is to hold space for them. I think that when we show up and we create an environment, a place for them to feel seen, to feel understood, that's going to be really powerful, because we may be the first person that has ever truly sat and listened to them on a level where we are looking out for their best interests. We want them to succeed. And they may feel that sense of, oh my gosh, somebody finally understands and knows what I'm going through. And so I feel it's really important to hold that space to really connect with our clients in a way that shows them that we are interested in them, that they are important. We're curious about what's going on in their life, and allowing them to feel that safety and that connection so that they can really dig in deep and get to the things that are really maybe what could be holding them back from achieving those things that they truly want, that transformation that they want. So I think holding space for our clients and truly listening to them. So I think listening is an important part, an important key of being, of having those coaching skills. I know that oftentimes we, as coaches, we have our own experiences. We've gone through training programs. We've got our tools and our tool belt that we're so excited to share with everyone. But sometimes we've got to realize that that might be not the right place or the right opportunity for our clients at that moment. And really, when we invite them to open and share, and we really lean in and listen, we can start to uncover those things, like what we call, especially in the training program in WCA, is those limiting beliefs. And we can really uncover like what's going on underneath that are holding our clients back from achieving that transformation. So when we can sit and listen, we're able to peel back and hear those different things and see into those different layers of the onion. So I think those are two really important pieces.
Yes, I completely agree. And I think, and you're so right. Like for many of our clients, this actually could very well be the first time that they've actually experienced being truly like have that space held for them and to be truly listened to. Like, of course, we all have the experience in our regular daily life of telling people in our lives about what's going on with us, or, that kind of thing. But, friends, family, like your best friend, everybody else has got, filters, or they're bringing their own stuff to this conversation, and they've got different ideas about what you should be doing, or different opinions about you. And some of it could be very well meaning, right? But that's a very different thing than when a coach is holding space for you without that expectation or judgment piece that often just naturally comes up with those other human interactions that we have. So I love that, and it seems like just such a simple thing. It's kind of like deceptively simple. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it seems deceptively simple for people to actually hold space for, but it's a skill that takes a lot of practice. And the listening piece is so key, like really true listening for what is going on for this person, just like with curiosity, not with judgment, but with just curiosity. Like, what's going on for this person? What is making this a problem for this client? So, yeah, I love that. Those are just so just foundational. What would you say are some of the common mistakes that new coaches make when they're first starting to work with clients?
Yeah, so I could probably speak from experience on a couple of these, but definitely trying to come up with the outcome for our clients. So in our mind, my mind, thinking, okay, this is the end result that I want my client to achieve, rather than really allowing them to have that process of discovery. What is going to be best for them? What's their best next step? And then another one that I know that I've really struggled with, and maybe many of your other listeners too, is that performance, like having to be on for your client and showing up big and helping them to achieve these amazing big results. And sometimes that's not the case at all. And truly, it's taking the focus off of ourselves and really focusing in on our client. Again, getting curious about them. What is it that they're needing? What are the underlying limiting beliefs that maybe you can help them reframe and see a new perspective with, and helping them to decide what's the next best step for them. We have to understand, okay, maybe our client is coming to us and they're still in ambivalence if this is something that they even truly desire or want. So if we're trying to come up with these action steps and this outcome and they're not even ready for it, it's going to fall flat. They're going to procrastinate. They're, not going to follow through. And so we really have to understand where our clients are and really see and where we can help them to understand what's the next best place for them to take that next step. So I think you're just taking that focus off of ourselves and performance as a coach, and really focusing in and reflecting back on our clients so that they can see and discover and really take ownership, I think is really important of their goals and the things that they truly want to achieve in their life.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, this is such a universal thing. And if you are like listening or watching this and identify with this whole like sense of needing to perform as a coach, then you're not wrong for wanting or feeling that impulse. We all do that, like, especially in the beginning, right? We all feel that. Like, especially because Sara, you and I, we just talked about the word transformation. It feels like this big thing that we're supposed to achieve for our client. And it feels like we have to do something magical to actually make that happen. But it's kind of paradoxical that really it's not about you performing and being on and being this like superstar coach, because then you're making it be about you. Exactly as you said, like the focus is on you and what am I going to say next? What question? What brilliant question am I going to come up with next? And all of that takes you out of the true connection with your client. Like, you're no longer present with your client because you're now in your own head thinking about what are you going to do here? And it's such a common trap, and we all make it. But yes, exactly like you said, just practicing. Well, what would you say? Like, how can people get out of that like headspace of like, I need to be this amazing coach?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think self-awareness is a great place to start. So
Yeah.
recognizing even that you are in that space is the first step. And it may not be perfect. It might be a little clunky at first when you start to recognize, oh, I'm performing right now. So you might feel a little awkward in your session. Just
Yeah.
like take a deep breath and do what you need to do to ground yourself and get present again, and let that thought float by, and just give yourself some grace and know that you're working on it, working through it. And that the more that you continue to practice this and let those thoughts be non-judgmental on yourself, don't be harsh on yourself, but give yourself a
Right.
little grace, and get back into that space and just refocus your mind. And I share with all my students and clients, find those tools that work for you to help you get grounded and present. And that might be taking a couple of deep breaths. It might be just settling your, hips into your chair and your feet on the ground. It might be, focusing in on the little space behind your eyes. Whatever it is for you, find what that is and try different things on until you find something that fits right for you. But definitely give yourself some grace through that, and know that it comes with some practice. And just think about just what is it that I can get curious about my client right now?
I love that. Yeah, and I mean, I think that the practice is such a key, right? Is that all of those like awkward, jittery things, they just do tend to smooth out and as you grow in confidence and practice. But yes, like your use of the word curiosity and not judging yourself, right? Like you just just the same way that we need to hold space for our clients and be, non-judgmental, we actually need to do the same thing for ourselves, right? Is like, yeah, oh, look at that. Again, I'm trying to perform. I'm getting into performance energy without not making yourself wrong about it, but just noticing it without judgment. And I just think that's so key. So let's talk about some practical stuff. Like what does the flow of a coaching session look like? Like how, because I know that this creates some anxiety, quite a bit of anxiety too. Like how do I even, what do I even do? I've got the appointment, I've got the Zoom room set up. Like what am I actually doing? How am I flowing or guiding this session?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think too, it's important to know what it is that you are hoping to accomplish in your coaching sessions and who you are as a coach and what works well for you. But definitely there is a flow to a session that feels like it is whole and complete. And what I love is the very beginning of a coaching session. I feel like this is such a great part of the coaching session to set the tone, to create that space, to let everything go from the day. We don't know where our client is coming in from. So it's kind of a great way to check in with them. So definitely building that initial rapport, checking in. How are you doing today? What's going on in your world? Maybe you touch base on something that happened with them last week, a birthday party that they had for their son or daughter. But just kind of creating that space and that tone at the very beginning is so important, and spending a few minutes there. And then, checking in with your client. How did things go last week? I'm curious to hear, what were some of your wins from our session? Were there any challenges that you came up against? What were those like? And kind of digging in there. And then I think it's really important to, once we've checked in with our client, what were some of your wins? What were some of your challenges? Asking them where they'd like to spend their time for that session, setting an agenda with them. Because maybe we have in our mind, especially if we've got a program that we've built out for them, we're thinking we're going to move on to our next module or our next step, but maybe they need to sit in camp for a minute for what they just learned or took away from last week. So always feeling like it's important to check in with your client, setting the agenda. Where would you like to spend our time this session? You'd mentioned these few obstacles. Do we need to spend a little time there? Are you ready to move forward? And then once you have identified that with your client, just really kind of taking some time to dive in and dig deep and start asking those really powerful questions that are and open-ended questions that are going to help bring things up to the surface, those limiting beliefs that we talk about often. What's going on behind the scenes, the nitty gritty stuff that's really holding our clients back from achieving those results. So spending a lot of time just kind of helping your client through that process of self-discovery and allowing them to, again, see kind of what's going on behind the scenes so that maybe you can have that opportunity to help them see a new perspective and maybe reframe some things so that they see a different truth from something that they've always maybe believed for a really long time since they were very little. And, it's so wonderful to see our clients have those aha moments of, what do you mean? It doesn't have to be this way anymore. And seeing yes. Those light bulbs go off is wonderful. So walking them through that journey of self-discovery, and then allowing them to kind of figure out, so what are some next steps that I need to take from these insights that I have and from the goals, that I desire and where I'm going. So what's going to get me there? So walking them through that process of creating some action steps, some things that they can tangibly do. Once they hop off that call with you and they get to go home all excited, empowered, and equipped with with all the things. And sometimes that could be, I think one thing that we need to release the pressure off of ourselves as a coach as well is having these big, huge, audacious action steps. And sometimes that's not exactly what our client needs. And we have to really understand our clients. So, and especially each session could look a little bit different. Maybe there was some deep reflective thought that happened or needs to happen, for their action steps once they are finished with your session with you. So maybe it's just to go home and journal, or just to think and reflect. So sometimes it doesn't have to be something, go home and start drinking 8 glasses of water today and do that 3 days a week. It could be just as powerful for them to just reflect until they have their next session with you. And then always wrapping up, I think, is great to hear some of their takeaways, some of their aha moments, asking them what really stood out for them during their session. I think is a wonderful way to kind of tie a bow on the session, and just kind of hear what it was that really impacted them, and to really also make sure that you are on the same page with your client. Okay, are we on the same page? Okay, this is what we agreed to as well. Okay, great. This is wonderful. We're good. And so just really connecting with your client on the back end as well, and just letting them just see and know that you are with them throughout this whole journey, that you are a support to them, and that they are that they feel that they are set up for success to continue to move forward. And then obviously too is checking in with them, making sure that that they are ready for their next session with you. Maybe you're even wrapping up a program or a package with them, and checking in with them and asking them if this is something that they would like to continue, and making sure that you have that opportunity to open that door for them as well. So I think that's really important as well.
Yes. Well, you just gave like a masterclass in how to guide a whole session, like right from start to finish. And I just love that. I mean, obviously there's a ton more to each of those pieces. Like we could pick apart any of those elements of it and really kind of take a deep dive. And of course, that's what we do inside WCA. But I think that what you just described, and so for those of you who are watching or listening, go back, rewind, watch or listen to that whole thing, right? From the whole, because it really it's like that framework of what your session is actually going to look like. And what I loved about what you just described is it's very much like, clearly you as the coach, you are guiding that, right? Like this is your framework, this is your structure that you are creating, because this is all part of you being the coach in the relationship. But it is very much client centered. Like each piece of that, like setting the agenda, it's really what the client wants, not what you think the session should be about, but what they actually need most at that time. So although you're creating the framework, it's very much client-centered within there, which I think a lot of people struggle to figure out, like, am I in charge or is it client-centered? But the truth is it's actually both, right? It's a co-creation, but you are the coach and you've got a role, and then you're using their needs, goals, insights, thoughts, all of that to flesh it all out. So I love that.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as like having a flexible structure to your sessions. Kind of knowing where you're headed and where you're going, it's kind of like those guardrails of, your container of what you'd like to hold, but being able to be flexible to move and flow throughout that container.
Yeah, it's kind of a dance, right? Like you are kind of dancing within that, and that can feel scary. I get that for brand new coaches who really want something. I mean, we seek to something rigid, something more, structured, I suppose, to give us confidence, because that flexibility, the fluidity that comes with confidence and with practice, and so. Yeah, but I love how you just laid out that framework. That's perfect. I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about the importance of building a tribe or a community, because, of course, like inside WCA, we have structures that are set up to help, students get lots of interaction. They've got calls, they've got training with you, like, small group sessions, all that kind of stuff, the online community. And so there's lots of places for connection and interaction. And to me, this is a really important thing. And especially if you are moving into a new career, building something new, maybe kind of scary, I think that that concept of connection and tribe, especially as you're learning a new skill set like coaching. It's, as we've mentioned many times, it can be intimidating, you can be very uncertain. And so having like a supportive community, I think, is just such a huge thing. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, Sarah, on the importance of having a tribe.
Yeah, I think having a tribe, having a community is invaluable. I know just over the years and the entrepreneurial journey, it is a can be sometimes a wild and crazy ride.
Yes.
And we can be in this place of what is going on? Is this even for me? To, wow, this is incredible. I'm so excited that I'm doing this. And sometimes we just feel in those places of like, does anybody know what's going on here? I feel so alone. Like, what do I
Yeah.
do? And so those all are a natural process of the entrepreneurial journey. But when we have a tribe, when we have people in our corner cheering us on, helping us to see, okay, this is normal. It's okay. You're going to get through this. It just takes some of that pressure off. It relieves some of that self doubt. And it's also so wonderful to be able to celebrate and to, just really have that joy in the journey as well, and have others along with you to be a part of that. And I think having a community is such an incredible piece of who we are as humans, that we get to have that opportunity to connect with others, to see each other, and really be able to be a part of someone's journey. And that could be in all kinds of ways. And it's been incredible. At some of my lowest of lows, I've had women come and almost like I felt almost physically like lift my arms and help lift me back up. And if it wasn't with, for their support, I think that I may have kind of floundered a little bit longer than I
Right.
needed to. And so just knowing that there's people who believe in you, who want to support you, help, give you the wisdom, some of the tools maybe that they've learned along the way, is just is so beautiful, in the sense that you don't have to do it all on your own. You don't have to carry that pressure. There are those that want to come alongside you and be with you in that journey as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't possibly agree more. And I mean, we've been talking about this in sort of the context of being an entrepreneur and into a new career, building a business, that kind of thing. But really, it's not just, of course, for entrepreneurs. As
Mhm.
you said, this is something that most of us crave, and really we all need. It's a key part of living a healthy life, is that connection piece. And so, I find that it often is, if we're talking about like healthy living, that like connection community piece is often takes a back seat to, the more in your face concepts of like, eating healthy and exercising and all that kind of thing. But that, like, the need and the drive for true connection and community is just as important. I think, anyway.
I totally agree. I think that if we are in isolation, it
Mhm.
can wreak havoc on our emotional health, our physical health, because I think we're created to have that connection. And so if we are in
Yes.
isolated environments and we're not, um, having uh, that, that sense of community, it can definitely cause dis-ease in our bodies.
Yes.
And when we have that community, that it brings things up for us that are in a healthier way, our mental health and those kinds of things that will help us, I think, thrive
Yes.
differently, if we were to be isolated from our
Absolutely.
community. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to hear about how you build community in your own life, Sarah. Like, how does that play out for you? How do you bring that element of a fully lived life into your existence in your life?
Yeah, I think, gosh, it's something that I feel like I've just kind of naturally done over the last 25 years of
Hmm.
my life. Is just, for me, particularly with women, I just naturally like bring
Yeah.
women together because I know the importance of that. And I know the importance of mentorship and, older women pouring into and investing into the lives of the younger women, and the fresh energy of, the women being able to, um, show up and support and cheer each other on is such a gift that I've been able to experience. And I think because I've been in those places of isolation and the places of having a thriving community, I've seen the difference that it makes in my life and the way that I show up and the way that I feel empowered and the way that I feel capable, is because I know that I belong and that I'm appreciated and that there are people who believe in me and who love in me and who love me and who want to see me succeed just as much as I want to see myself succeed. So that's always been something important to me. If I've been, and I've moved and traveled a lot throughout my life. And so I've had to build new community, new friendships, and it's been important, and it's helped me feel like I got acclimated and I've got
Mhm.
adjusted, and I was able to find new rhythms to my life, knowing that there was a community for me to lean into, and I think it's when we find ourselves in those places of isolation and we feel that loneliness. So looking outward and seeing, okay, where is it that maybe I need to lean in and start connecting and bringing some relationship into my life so that I can feel not not as isolated and
Yeah.
alone any longer. So it's
Yeah.
something that I just have been in both of those places, and knowing that it's something intentional that I have to build sometimes, and look for in those places where I felt like it was a dark, lonely place. And every time that I have, it's been such a gift. And the I start that heaviness starts to lift, and I start to feel lighter, and I really see, you know, just a different way of showing up and being able to not only receive that support, but also to give out as well. I think is really great and really important part as well.
Yeah, I love
Mhm.
that. And I mean, what though it's interesting, like, because I find that a lot of people struggle with this, right? Like they might know on one level that they actually do need more of a community, and there might be somebody watching who's like, yes, I know, I need a community, I need a tribe, I'm really missing those connections in my life, but how? Because I think that we're living in this time where it's, well, I mean, of course, pandemic, like that was the ultimate isolation for all of us, but even as we're coming out of it, it's still, especially for adults, like we take it for granted. My oldest is just graduating from high school now, and I know that in the next few months when he leaves high school, he's going to leave that immediate network, and there's really, it sometimes is very hard as an adult to actually replicate that, or to find those communities that are going to be like just all like the people who you need and your peers and your supporter, all of that kind of stuff. And it's hard as an adult, really, to make friends, to find the right people. So what suggestions do you have for people who are feeling like, okay, yeah, I need this, need more of this in my life, but I just don't know, how do I go about making friends or finding people to connect with?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And it's definitely an intentional decision to look for those places. So to find those communities, those spaces where you feel like, oh, this is my tribe. And so maybe
Mhm.
taking a look at what are some of the things that you're interested in. Do you love to read? What kind of book clubs are there out there? Do you love to go hiking? Where's a hiking group that you can get involved with? Just start to look at maybe some of your hobbies, your interests, or something that you would like to start, and maybe join
Yes.
a group there. I know that for many people, they have a spiritual practice. And so maybe finding a place that you can connect with people on a spiritual level, whether that's at church or on a meditation retreat or something where you can start to connect with people on that aspect as well. I think, just being able to also start something and have the courage to do that as well. If you feel that you don't see something that might, fit with what you're looking for, start a group for yourself and bring the people to you, and draw those people in who are looking for that same type of community. I think is a great way to also build that as well.
Yes, I love it. Those are some great ideas. And I love that it's like, okay, well, if it doesn't exist, start it. And it also, if it's a hobby or an interest, because I know that some people will feel inhibited if it's not something that they already can do. You don't have to have achieved a certain skill level in order to interact. Like you can, it can be something that you're learning or something that you just want to try, or there's lots of opportunities. I think once you do start to open your mind up to that, and just, but it does require also being vulnerable and putting yourself in that space, which I think is what a lot of people do struggle with too, is that vulnerability piece. Because again, we are hardwired to want connection, and nobody wants to be rejected or like kicked out of the tribe, or any of that kind of thing. So we do a lot of things to protect ourselves preemptively, which could often include just isolating ourselves or just avoiding those situations. But I love all of your suggestions. That's so awesome. I'm curious, what are some other things that you do, Sara, to support your own health, like physical, mental, emotional? I'd love to give our audience just some ideas, because you're just such a great mentor and role model in this. And this is whether they're entrepreneurs or not, like just anything that kind of makes your life better.
Yeah, I appreciate that. For me, it's really important for me to really pay attention to my mental, emotional, physical health. And I really create the space for me to have some quiet and downtime. I really need those moments to reset, to read, to listen to affirmations. I'm usually getting ready in the morning and I've got something in my ears that's helping me to be ready for my day and to step into the woman that I desire to become. And so those things are really, really important to me to start my day in the right mindset, or even to end my evening. So I oftentimes put a meditation on, or something that'll really fill my soul and help my mind just rest at night. I feel like that's one of my top priorities, is making sure that I'm in a really cared for mental place, because I think from there everything else kind of follows suit. And so for me, that is making sure that I get my movement, my exercise. I love spin class. It's one of my favorite things.
Oh,
I think
awesome.
I love to spin, and that just it's cardio. It gets all my energy out, sometimes the emotions that I need to get out. And so that is really important to me as well. And I love I love to cook. I love to just create in the kitchen. And so for me, creating beautiful, vibrant dishes that are healthy and fuel my body are really important to me as well. And so also, just I think maybe this kind of goes back into the meditations, but creating rest I think is really important. Knowing that sometimes there are those rhythms in my life where I need to pay attention to my rest a little bit more. Definitely have had some busy seasons and can feel that uh, physically, mentally, emotionally. And so when I start to feel my body starts to I could feel it physically. So I recognize, okay, maybe I need to create some more rest in my life. What does that look like? Maybe I'm not able to get up any earlier, but I can spend some time during the day to turn off the alerts on my phone, take a walk, just give my brain a rest, give my body a rest from what it's doing. So that's also really important to me.
I love all of those. And I mean, even just any one of those alone would be just so, could really change a person's life and trajectory and their well-being. And I mean, your passion for life and like a life well lived really comes through. Like, I just absolutely love it. Of course, that's one of the reasons why I knew that I had to have you on my team. But yeah, this has just been so fun, Sara. I am so glad that we finally made the time to record this conversation. There were just so many good nuggets in what we just talked about. Whether people are looking to build a business in the wellness space, step into more of their coaching, or just really looking to create a healthier and happier and more connected life. So I love all the things that we touched on today. So, but before I let you go, tell us where people can go to learn more about you and connect with you and all of those good things.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. That's where I hang out.
Yes.
My username is XO Sara Dunbar, and that's XOSARA Dunbar. And I also have a website, saradunbar.com.
Perfect. I will put those links in the show notes. And again, thank you so much. This has just been such a pleasure. I hope that you enjoyed sitting in on my conversation with Sara. If you are a coach or an aspiring coach, I hope that the first part of our conversation really helped you to get a better grasp on the importance of honing your coaching skills when you're working with clients, especially if you're near the beginning of your journey, when coaching, I know, can feel kind of intimidating and confusing. And even if you're not a coach, I hope that Sara's words about the importance of finding your tribe really resonated. And that if you feel like you don't have the supportive community that you need, that you're now motivated to get out there and start building one. I would love to know your thoughts. And I would actually love to hear, do you feel like you have the community and connection that you need to feel truly supported in this life? And if not, what's the first step that you're going to take to cultivate that community for yourself? So if you're watching on YouTube, then drop me a comment below this video. Or if you're watching or listening to the audio of this episode, then find me on Instagram and let me know. I would love to hear from you. Okay, that's a wrap for today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you again very soon.